Having to breathe the same air as an uneducated idiot in the morning is going to ruin my job for the rest of the day. Every day, the other employees and I had to put up with the abuse of an elite chief who had graduated from a prestigious university. One day, when I couldn't put up with her anymore and countered, she said, "You should notify your bosses or something. I am one of the elite. Nobody's going to listen to a dropout like you." The chief looked completely victorious. However, one word from the president who passed by changed her attitude completely. "Hello, my name is Daniel Smith. I got a job as a sales at a subsidiary of a certain company right after graduating from high school. My father was injured in a traffic accident with a motorcycle and could no longer work properly, so I worked after high school instead of going to college. I got a job at this company through my father's introduction to support my family instead of my father. This company's employees got along well with each other, and it was a pleasure to work there. My boss is nice and my colleagues are easy to get along with, so I don't have to worry too much about work. However, I'm feeling a little down today." "Hey, Smith, isn't the meeting you're having today with the head office?" "Yeah, it is." "Seriously? Then that person must be coming here, right? I should have taken the payday off." "You don't deal with her directly, so don't say anything about it. I'm more depressed in the morning." "Because that person," said the colleague, when the colleague was about to continue the conversation. "Hey, why were no employees at the entrance? They were expecting me, and this is how they reacted?" According to the colleague, "See? Best of luck, Smith." "Oh, hey!" The colleague muttered something and then dashed away from there. "You'll remember that traitor." The owner of the voice glared at me, getting left behind. "There is really only a bunch of unkind people in this place. It annoys me that I have to go out of my way to speak with these people. Please accept my apologies. I wasn't expecting you to arrive so early." She is the manager Jones who travels from the headquarters on a regular basis for meetings, etc. She graduated from prestigious university, and as such, she was hired as a mid-career executive candidate. On the other hand, she was arrogant and made fun of the subsidiary's employees. "Whatever, they are all, as usual, uneducated and inept. You make even me look like an idiot. I need to get out of here as soon as possible, so please begin the meeting." "Could you please wait a little longer until one more person in charge arrives? He's already on his way." "What? You're going to keep me waiting? First and foremost, aren't you supposed to be ready to start as soon as arrive from the headquarters? You are all completely incapable." "I'm so sorry." "You arrived 20 minutes earlier than expected, but you are unreasonable." I want to talk back to her, but the person I was speaking with was from the head office, and she was an elite recognized by the head office. I'm not sure what the company will do if I go against her. We complained to each other at the subsidiary company, but in the end, we never oppose them and always endure. I was working as usual. Then one morning, as I was driving to work as usual, I noticed an elderly lady crouching down distressfully in the middle of the road. It should have been an emergency, but the people around me didn't want to get involved or didn't know what to do, so they pretended not to notice her and walked past her. "Are you okay, Granny?" I dashed over to her and called out, but the old lady was not responding because her breathing was labored and she was unable to speak properly. "I'm going to call an ambulance right away." I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. We all went to the hospital together when the ambulance arrived. "It's okay to go home," the nurse said. "We'll take care of it over here until her family arrives." I had already informed the company that I will be late, and I was concerned about the grandmother, so I stayed with her until her family arrived. Fortunately, she was not in danger, and she could leave the hospital after a few days. We were overjoyed. A few weeks later, suddenly, I got a transfer order to our branch office of the headquarters. It was a direct order from the president of the headquarters. I was debating whether I should go to the main office, but my colleague said, "It's proof that your effort has been noticed. Go ahead and give it your all." They encouraged me, and I decided to transfer. My first day at the headquarters was hectic. First, I decided to greet each department individually. On my way there, I found the chief's bag in the corridor and hurried up to greet her, but she noticed me and gave me a disgusted look. "What are you doing here, you moron? Aren't you a little out of place?" "Good morning, Chief. I've been assigned here." "Oh, you're being relocated here? What exactly are they thinking?" The chief ignored my greeting and swore at me. "Having to breathe the same air as an uneducated idiot in the morning is going to ruin my entire day at work." "Chief, I'm sorry for making you feel that way." "Oh, please stop talking. Please do not approach me. I'm busy. Keep out of my way." Chief is in a bad mood today, and she wouldn't let me finish what I was saying. She waved her hand around as if attempting to flick off the swarming flies. Trying to continue the conversation at this point would be pointless. I gave up and returned to work. When I returned to the floor where the chief was, I overheard her cursing her subordinate. "You are inept. Why can't you do something as simple as this? This is something that even a new employee could do." "I'm sorry," says the employee. The employee's error was discovered, and she is very upset about it. The employee who is being yelled at tightens his fist, bows his head, and endures. "If this is the case, it will be far preferable to have another employee work for me rather than you. You are no longer useful to me. Get your desk cleaned up and out of my way." After saying these words to the employee, she turned to face me and our eyes met. She had already looked unhappy, but she twisted her face even more and glared at me. "What? You got back? Didn't I tell you to stay out of my way this morning?" "Please relax, Chief. I have something to tell you today." "Stop talking. Everyone is arrogant. I don't have time for stupid, incompetent people like you." The chief left the floor and slammed the door as hard as she could. I talked to the employee who had just been yelled at by the chief, frowning at the sound of the door closing violently. "Is that chief's typical attitude?" I asked. According to the employee, it's not just common, it's something that happens every day. She constantly disrespects me. That woman. In frustration, the employee raised his voice. "Quiet, the chief will hear you." If the chief hears him, she must say something bad to him. I did everything I could to calm him down. "I've been enduring this for a long time, but I can't take it anymore," the employee said. The employee stumbled towards his desk and pulled a white envelope from a drawer. "Don't tell me this is a resignation letter," I said. According to the employee, yes, it's something I've been considering for a while. My previous workplace was more peaceful, and each day was fulfilling and enjoyable, but since the chief has arrived, this place has changed into hell. He rubbed his desk sadly. On his desk, there were numerous documents and notes. He must have liked his job and worked tirelessly. I understand how you feel, but don't you feel frustrated that all of your hard work has been squandered by only a chief? Of course, it's aggravating. I'm aware of how hard I've worked here. I've been at this job longer than she has, and I've done my best. But this is... I can feel his frustration and sadness, which is nowhere for it to go. Chief says thinking like that, but there must be employees who trust and rely on you. Why don't you stay a little longer for those people? Even if you just say a little more. Don't worry, I'll handle it. It is not you who should quit. What? What exactly do you mean? I went to the chief, leaving the questioning employee behind. We cannot have any more employees who are mistreated like him. That is why I have come here. I quickly followed the chief and found her in the break room drinking tea. "Chief, may I?" I asked. The chief noticed me and looked broken-hearted. Are you still here? You're as persistent as a fly. I'm taking a break. Please leave me. The chief looked tired, possibly because she had just raised her voice. I pushed myself to say to her, Chief, I will conduct a thorough investigation into your harsh words and actions towards our employees. You may be subjected to appropriate measures based on the results. My abrupt words stunned the chief. What are you talking about? Have you started playing hero to cover for that incompetence? No, I'm not. Why don't you go tell your bosses about it? I am an elite. You should know that I have the support of my superiors. Nobody will listen to drop out like you from the subsidiary. The chief exudes triumph and laughs hysterically. Then out of nowhere, a man appeared from the other side. Smith, it's you. How are things going for you? It was the president. I'm trying to do my best, thanks to you. Hello, President. What a happy coincidence that you've come. What happened to the grumpy chief from a while ago? She pretends an excellent chief to those people who are in higher position than herself. Haha, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Have you established rapport with the new branch manager? What about the new branch manager? The chief is befuddled and stares blankly. It is Smith standing right in front of you. What? Have you not been briefed? This inept employee from a subsidiary company? You are a great jokester, boss. The chief laughs. The president, on the other hand, regarded the chief with suspicion. What are you talking about? Are you sure? I'm not making any jokes. You understand. He is now the branch manager of this branch office. Don't be so impolite as to label him incompetent. What the hell? The chief made a drawn face at me. I couldn't tell you because you ignored me earlier. I have informed the rest of the department. Oh no, such an illiterate incompetent. The chief's face had turned blue and she appeared to be about to collapse. When he sees such a chief, the president reluctantly opened his mouth. Let me tell you something about this fantastic opportunity. This was his father's business. He was unable to work properly after being injured in a car accident, so I took charge. Is he the former president's son? That's correct. I've been trying to convince him to relocate to the headquarters, but he's so stubborn that he didn't come. I apologize. I liked that place and I was satisfied. So what brought you here unexpectedly? Why didn't you just keep working at the subsidiary? The chief was out of her mind and forgot she was in front of the president and barked at me. The president, who had only seen the best of the chief, was unlikely to recognize this type of chief. He was taken aback while he is opening his eyes so widely. I made a strong request of him. He is my mother's lifesaver. Benefactor? What about the president's mother? Yes, the elderly lady I rescued a few weeks ago was the president's mother. When the president rushed in from the hospital entrance while I was waiting for the family, I was taken aback. I heard that he was the only one who went to see her first and called an ambulance, even though others pretended not to notice her and passed by. I didn't want him to be buried in such a subsidiary. So you personally appointed this guy as a branch manager? The president nodded and said, That's correct. I wondered if I was qualified to be the branch manager on the day I was appointed. I had been working for a subsidiary, then I was suddenly asked to lead a branch manager of the head office. Then, after hearing from the president, my father called and asked me to support the company he had built, and I made up my mind. That's why I've given him the position of branch manager going forward. Don't be disrespectful any longer and pay close attention to what Smith says. The president said sternly to the chief before leaving the room. That's the reason, Chief. I'm back in front of the chief again. You are mistreating not only your subsidiaries, but also your direct subordinates. I understand the frustration and sadness of being mocked because I am a low-educated incompetent. No, no! Now that I'm the branch manager and have witnessed this situation, I can't ignore it, so please be prepared. No! The chief sat down on the spot and began to weep because her elite pride severely wounded. It's no surprise. The person she had always looked down on because of less educated than her was suddenly in a higher position than she is, and she told me she was going to get rid of. Thus ended my difficult days. The next day, a detailed fact-finding investigation of the chief was conducted. As a result of interviewing several employees and subsidiaries who had had relations with her, a number of terrible comments and actions were reported. The punishment was disciplinary grounds. Upon receiving the news, the chief left the company as if she has no soul without talking back. Chief looked very depressed. She had high self-esteem, so I guess it's understandable. By the way, are you sure you want me to replace Chief? Oh, I felt I could trust you. The chief was fired, and in that vacant slot, he appointed him who had been yelled by her. He had been with the company for many years and was enthusiastic about his work. Of course, I had also checked out his past work performance, and he experienced the frustration and anger of being abused by former Chief Jones. I knew he would not do the same thing she did and would be a good boss who could understand the feelings of his employees. And as for me, I tried to do my job from the same perspective as the employees without being confined to the position of branch manager, referring to a subsidiary with which I was in good relations before. I interviewed each employee on a regular basis and asked for their opinions. I also held study sessions for employees in higher positions on how to lead and tried to deal with employees as much as possible. Thanks to these efforts, the atmosphere of the company gradually improved, and it became a good place to work, reminding me of the subsidiary where I used to work. Well, Smith, I'm sorry about Jones, but thanks to you, this company is doing very well. Oh, I'm afraid. At a later date, I was called into the president's office for coffee. He wanted to talk to me about recent workplace. I am getting old. Eventually, I'd like Smith to succeed me. Ha ha ha. With all due respect, Mr. President, I don't see myself becoming president. What? Why do you refuse? Your father would want the same thing. I want to be on the same side as the employees, supporting this company together from the same perspective, and being involved with the customers. It will be very difficult to do that once I become president, won't it? The president scowled at my words and then laughed. Ha ha ha, you really are a funny guy. Normally, you would be happy to accept the offer. Am I an eccentric? No, that's fine. That's exactly the kind of Smith I'm looking for. The president tapped me on the shoulder a little harder. You have a meeting soon, don't you? Go work hard.